Hi dear friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Alpha Physio Pelvic Care, all things pelvic health. If you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Anastasia. I'm practicing pelvic floor physiotherapist in Cyprus for male, female and children, and I have over 10 years experience in working with pelvic health. And today I would like to touch the topic that I realized I have not touched yet in my channel. However, lately I have been lately I have been working with it, and also it became greater topic of my own personal interest because I started to run again. I used to be a runner, not very professional but regular runner, and now I went back to running again. Also, I see clients who come to me who are runner, who are quite serious runner. They run in competitions, they run big distances, they run fast, and they all have same complaint: leaks. So today we will talk about running, leaks, particularly urinary leaks, and today I will focus on my female clients. However, the mechanism of leaks are quite similar in male as well. Although to very lesser extent. However, it can happen in male population, it can happen of course in children population, but the reason for it is the same for everyone. The reason why female are more susceptible to leaks whilst running, it's due to anatomy. We simply have more openings, more chances of prolapse. Our pelvic floor is more exposed, let's say, has more holes literally because of the anatomy, and therefore the support, it's a bit wider as well, therefore the support might be a little bit less. Plus of course the history of childbirth and the menstrual cycle. Before we move on to this very interesting topic, make sure you drop a like to this video if you find it useful. Also share your experience in the comments. Are you a runner? Have you been concerned about running and leaking? Have you been holding back from running because you leak, or this is something that never even occurred to you? And let's begin. In this video I will not show you any exercises. Here I would like to provide you the information so you understand why things are happening the way they're happening. First and foremost, and this might sound really shocking to you, but there is a systematic research, I think it was conducted in 2020, and I can leave the reference in the comments, that up to 30% of professional female athletes, we're talking about competing, national, international levels athlete who are training, this is their profession, and they're also training with professionals, they experience leaks. It can be jumpers, it can be runners, it can be any other sports that requires force and the pace, fast pace, and they leak. People that otherwise are very fit. And one thing I would start to mention about, these people leak only when training for competition, so nearly maximum to maximum exertion, and when actually competing, where a little bit other things come in place, such as hormones, such as psychological state. But let's start a little bit afar. Let's start with the general population, and then we slowly go into a little bit more, let's say, recreative / professional running. General population. Some people, they just like to go for a light jog, maybe somehow fast run, but they notice that they leak. There are several reasons for it, and the one that absolutely lies on the surface, but people most of the time are not told, is weak pelvic floor, and a pelvic floor that cannot resist intra-abdominal pressure. A little anatomy lesson for you. When we are in a calm state, we breathe. As we breathe in, pressure decreases. As we breathe out, pressure increases. This is happening at very low relaxed levels, and most of the time people will not leak at that level. Now, as we start to walk faster, as we start to run faster, we have to breathe faster and therefore exert, inhale and exhale faster and stronger. So therefore, big increase in intra-abdominal pressure. Ideally, in ideal world, in theory, and in a calm state, pelvic floor contracts together with the breath out when diaphragm is up and relaxes when diaphragm is down. When such pressure comes fast and strong, plus remember that pelvic floor is not only sitting there and supporting our pelvic muscles, supporting our bladder, supporting our rectum and so on. It also supports our bones, bony structures. It stabilizes our whole body. It absorbs the impact that when you run and land on one leg. So there is a lot of things going on. Pelvic floor has to do a lot of things. And when it is hit down with that strong intra-abdominal pressure, sometimes it cannot just take it. For some people, it can be very low level, slight jog and they leak. For somebody, they will need to speed up or increase their distance. Pelvic floor exercises is the first line of treatment for everyone. Whether you just gave birth, whether you never gave birth and you are a young athlete, if you experience leaks, you need to start with pelvic floor exercises in between your trainings and run. And this is not only sitting and doing Kegels. We're talking about comprehensive program for at least 30 minutes a day for first 6 weeks if you really want to prevent the leaks. And then if you improve, you can drop it down to 3 times a week for 20-30 minutes. But in the beginning, it's full on rehabilitation. I get a question from runners. Do I need to somehow squeeze my pelvic floor? Do I need to hold it? Do I need to hold my tummy? No. When you run, you should let the natural rhythm of breathing and pelvic floor work occur. And this is very important. You don't want to modify but by somehow tensing your body in an unnatural way. When you run, you just should focus on running, and rehabilitation happens in between. Now, we all talk about the weak pelvic floor. However, it's very important to have an assessment by at least once pelvic floor physiotherapist, because sometimes pelvic floor is tight, especially if they're professional athletes, especially when they have leaked before, but maybe they want to run and they want to finish the run, so they tighten up to make sure they hold it on, or maybe they do some weightlifting in between, different other things. Pelvic floor might be tight, so it's simply so tight, it is not effective, it cannot sustain this kind of impact and bounce that happens when you run, and therefore you leak. And it's always important to get the full elasticity on the pelvic floor, and then we work on the strength. We don't assume automatically that pelvic floor is weak, and this is why we leak. It can be also tight. Now, let's say you are doing a pelvic floor exercises and you run well, but the moment you start to increase the speed or the position of the run changes, maybe there is elevation going on, you have to lean forward, or maybe you're running for longer, leak happens. And sometimes it's a small leak and sometimes it's full on bladder evacuation. You need to understand a few things, that there will be a tipping point to your pelvic floor where it will not be able to tolerate the pressure anymore. Plus, also, it's important to remember that bladder is a muscle and it can contract by itself as a response to the fatigue, because our body wants to it feels like, okay, we're getting tired, we're working really hard, we don't need anything extra to carry in us. Let's get rid of that tiny bit of urine that might be sitting in your bladder, and you might leak. So these things can be retrained. So training gradually your stamina of the pelvic floor, how far you can run, testing the surface you can run on, asphalt versus a more kind of ground type of surface, shoes, something a little bit more shock absorbing, how big stride you need to make, also your fluid consumptions. I'm really kind of against, like, okay, don't drink and watch your fluids when you run. It can turn out badly. but you need to find that rhythm between when you consume fluids, when you go to the toilet, and maybe if you need to consume the fluids, how much fluids you consume. Temperatures. Is it when it's more hot, it's harder for you to control? Again, it can be the adrenaline of competition. We're driven more by cortisol, by adrenaline, all those stress hormones in competition. They can be inhibitory to our pelvic floor. And also, females' cycle, ovulation and before period and period, the leaks are happening the most. And I would even say a few days before the period. On the period, maybe because of the fatigue. Before the period, because uterus is simply bigger, heavier. Around ovulation, there is a peak of estrogen. It can make things a little bit looser. The purpose of it is, of course, to conceive the baby, the biological purpose. Therefore, around the ovulation, the estrogen can have that impact on your pelvic floor. All this said, let's summarize it. First of all, assessing your pelvic floor and pelvic floor training that is appropriate for you. If you are a new mom who wants to return back to running, you will start 101. Pelvic floor engagements, mobility, focusing on your breathing, making sure your ribs are moving fully. I have a separate video on it. It's called 360 degrees breathing. Making sure you can squat without leaks. If you are a professional runner, semi-professional runner, maybe you haven't given birth, then make sure you do your exercises not only laying down. Make sure there is a speed change. Make sure there is an upright position exercises. When you run, try to gradually increase your speed, decrease, increase, decrease. So it's an exposure. Training of your intra-abdominal pressure, ability to have that intra-abdominal pressure control together with the pelvic floor within the training settings, not when you are running. All these things are very important. And of course, monitoring your fluid consumptions around your runs. For some people, even time of the day will matter. In the morning, they're more alert, stronger, and then in the evening, they might feel like, wow, I'm losing it. If you're a trail runner, uphill, downhill, your training needs to include different hip positions, from squat to extension, from pushing up through one leg and coming down. So all this that replicates your running style needs to be included in your training. If you do have access to pelvic floor physio, that would be great. If you're not, I also work online. If you need a consultation in this matter, there is a form that you can complete, and we can always arrange our assessment and our session online. I work with the people from all over the world, including North America, Sri Lanka, from all over the world. So we can always arrange it. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you got some insights on how running works with the pelvic health, why things might happen the way they happen. Let me know about your experience in the comments. Make sure you press that like button if you watch this video till the end, and we will see you back very, very soon. Bye.